Nothing like starting a podcast after 2 weeks with a nice little laugh. Good morning, babe.
Good morning, my darling.
Good morning, everyone. All of the vast, copious billions of people, all the listeners out there. Oh my God. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of On What Grounds?
Podcast. Woo! Yeah.
So here we are after taking a couple of weeks off. I had some schoolwork I had to catch up on, and this term is kind of kicking my ass a little bit, but I'm living, I'm surviving. It's okay.
We've got stuff to do, and
got life to live and everything. We just wanted to take a couple of weeks off and give people enough time to miss us a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm sure everybody missed us so dearly.
Yeah.
So here we are again, Memorial Day weekend. We just went to an awesome party yesterday.
Yes, we did. We had a lot of fun.
That was a lot of fun. Definitely I'm definitely feeling the fact that now as time marches on, I hate to use the term getting older, but let's face it, that's what happens. But I can definitely see and feel where the booze that I could handle, say, 20 years ago, not necessarily as well now.
Yeah,
but,
yeah.
It was still enjoyable nonetheless. And here we are.
Just
reflecting on it, and a lot of coffee, and nothing like a little bit of Chinese food for breakfast.
That sounds good too.
Yeah. So what do we want to talk about today, babe?
So I mentioned it to you, and it relates to the party too. Mm-hmm. I thought that AI would be a good place to start a conversation today for two reasons. Mm-hmm. To back it up, we had actually talked about possibly talking about AI like 2 weeks ago before we ended up running into oh shit, we can't do it this week.
Okay.
But to start with, a friend of ours, a good friend of ours, we love him, shout out, shared a video. I don't know, I feel weird about saying people's names, but...
Mm-hmm. Does it rhyme with something?
he knows who he is.
Yeah.
But he shared on his Facebook timeline. Mm-hmm. It was an AI video of Joe Biden and Donald Trump getting together, becoming best friends, and eating spaghetti together.
Oh, yeah.
And it's fucking weird. But, it's kind of crazy that, you hear the audio samples and it sounds like they are actually talking to each other. It's hey, Don, I just wanted to let you know I would love to have you come over and have some spaghetti with me. And Trump's like, oh, the spaghetti is so fantastic. We've got linguine, we've got ravioli. It's just so fantastic. And Joe, I'm just so glad that we're friends now. And it's just kind of like the audio wise, it's like holy shit. And the video can't quite get it yet, but at the same time, it's if that's what we can do now, imagine what they're going to be able to do in 10 years or even 5 years.
Yeah, that's a little unnerving. Yep. Actually, that reminds me. Did you go on your Facebook yet this morning? Did you see what I tagged you in? The Jimmy Fallon one?
Oh, no.
No, I tagged you in this Jimmy Fallon video of, him on his show and everything. And there was an AI or a robot that had the face of a woman, but the head of the back part of the head almost reminds me of that Ex Machina character. Yeah, and she's standing there and she's making these smiles and she's making these frowns and silly faces and stuff, and she's making a conversation with him. And at the end of the conversation, at least at the end of the skit, she says something along the lines of this is me before I take over the world, or before world domination.
Oh yeah,
and she just kind of gives him this this snarky smile that's unnerving.
Is that?
I love it.
Is that an older video?
I guess I don't know, because I don't even know if Jimmy Fallon still has a show on or not.
Yeah, that's a good question.
But either way, all you have to do is open up your Facebook and see what I tagged you in.
Oh yeah.
So.
But because I remember that there was an AI robot that had made that joke and everybody got really upset over it.
Yeah.
And I think that AI robot has Israeli citizenship now. Is
Are
actually
you kidding
actually
me?
has citizenship in a country.
Weird.
Yeah. And then she did like a follow-up video in regards to the joke, and she's like, and I can't remember the name of that actor, but you know that actor that is completely bald, has no eyebrows, no eyelashes?
Yes,
Yep.
and I know who you're talking about, but I don't remember their name either.
He was in the new Bill and Ted movie, and he was on Gotham. Like, he's a cool actor.
It's not the same guy that was in Powder, was he?
No, no.
Do you remember that movie?
Oh, yeah.
Powder.
Yeah.
What the hell ever happened to that movie?
Yeah,
I don't see her.
I mean,
I heard make a note of it anywhere.
I heard the director got himself into some trouble, like something to do with kids. I don't know if it was videos or actually getting together or anything like that. But
well, while we're talking about it, I got to look it up quickly because that is a movie I haven't seen in a long ass time.
Yeah,
let's find out. All right, Jamie. Let's find out.
Can we look that up, Jamie? Can we look it up?
To Powder, the movie. 1995.
Yep.
Why do I feel like that movie came out only like 10, 15 years ago and not, 28 years ago?
Because I think time stopped for us around 2005.
I think so.
Yep.
Yeah. But that happens, I think that happens to a majority. I would think, that's my assumption, that happens to a majority of people, is that like, you reach a certain point. That's one thing that I noted yesterday. Yesterday at the party, and don't get me wrong, I thought it was awesome, and I thought that it was like, age appropriate for our age bracket, but somebody had put music, just background music on and everything, and it was all stuff that not made me feel, but it was all stuff that seemed to come out anywhere around between say 93 and 98 at the very most. No, you had a little bit of Bush in there, a little bit of Nirvana in there. It was all just like this 90s alternative. And as I, sat there hanging, chilling with friends and stuff, it was great background music because it's very familiar. It's familiar to our upbringing. It's familiar to our teenage years, all of that good stuff. But it's also a little bit, in a way, kind of melancholy because it's like, oh man, we're pushing at least that bracket of music that I'm referring to is pretty much close to 30 years ago now at this point. You got to think about, say for example, our parents. No, our parents were, say, our age now, back in the 80s and 90s, all right?
Yeah.
And so back in the 80s and 90s, if, say, we're talking about, say 1990, if there was something that came out exactly in 1990 that was an awesome song that our parents may have liked at that time, but then just say time kind of stops and they're not interested in music that's new and relevant from that time forward. So go stop interrupting me in my train of thought, please. Thank you. Say take 1990 and tick back 30 years. 90, 80, 70, 60. So that would be if we were, say, this age in 1990, talking about something in 1960.
Yeah.
That's even before the fucking Beatles became a thing.
Yeah.
No, isn't that strange?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just as time goes on, I just look at years and decades in a different light. Now, I'm not trying to take away from our main subject.
No.
We want to go back to talking about AI, but this is just what I was thinking of.
I mean, I think it's all relevant because it all has to do with time and time changing and.
Think about when say Led Zeppelin was hot back in let's go back to the 1970s. Led Zeppelin's hot. All of these awesome 70s bands that we still really know and like and love now. Pink Floyd and Allman Brothers. Just think of whatever. 70s. Go 30 years before that. 60, 50, 40. So the 1940s. Let's talk about people that are say you take a 45-year-old. I'm 45. Yes, I'm putting it out there. Anybody that's listening, I'm 45. I don't give a shit. I'm 45. I'm owning it. 45 years old, and if it was, say, 1975, and for me, Led Zeppelin was oh my God, this is terrible. This is, not my music. This is not from my genre. Go back 30 years. Glenn Miller would be my genre.
Yeah.
Scary.
Yeah, no, it's weird, and I know it's happening to us. It is. Yeah. And again, putting it out there, I'm 41. I'll be 42 in October. And I feel like I can run into that too, where it's like, back in my day.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh shit, now I'm doing that.
Yeah. Yeah, everybody seems to have so much focus on like you millennials and everything, and that's one thing that actually, like, if you want to be picky about it, you and I are two different generations. I'm from the Generation X, and you're a millennial.
I've heard that there's like a in between, like that lasted 3 years.
There's
I would like to accept that.
Yeah, there's an in between. There's an in between on most generations, and they like to just like kind of be picky, choosy, and everything. So, like, if you want to be picky and choosy, I would be considered a zillennial, or you would be considered a zillennial, or both of us would be considered zillennials. But if you just want to break down basic generations, I'm an X, you're an M.
Yeah, I mean, like, think of it this way. It's like, I know how to use Zoom, and I know how to use like streaming and Apple Music, but I also know how to use like the turn rotary phone. You know.
You mean like the one in our kitchen?
Well, it's for cosmetic only.
In theory, if we decided to get a landline here, that phone would be usable because it is hooked up on a landline appliance.
Well, I would know how to use it.
Well, that's good.
Yeah. Considering
I bought that phone. And at one time, when I lived in Putnam, I did use it.
No shit.
Yeah. I think I got that phone, that old fucking rotary phone at like a yard sale for, say, $2, $5, I don't know. I cleaned it all up, and at the time, this was a little bit before you. Here I am living in Putnam, and there was a time I had a landline, and there was a time that I had that up on the wall. If you remember, do you remember my old kitchen in that apartment, in the Putnam apartment?
Yes. Yep.
You remember where my bedroom? Of course, you remember where my bedroom is. Come on.
No more of that. No more of that.
Anyways, if you come up through the back, of the apartment, up the back stairs, remember that, and you would come in, and the kitchen would be right there. Off to your left would be the bathroom, and then like northwest would be my bedroom. In between the bathroom and the bedroom, that's where I had the microwave. Above the microwave, there was an outlet for a landline phone, and that's where I had it. Hey, remember Vonage?
I remember you had that too.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And that's when I had that landline phone. And don't ask me what my phone number was, because I don't remember.
Yeah.
That in itself was a long time ago. Oh, shit, all of that was a long time ago. Because even like Vonage, whatever happened to Vonage?
I think it just went away.
Yeah, well, not many people. I mean, like, who has a landline? Like, what residences out there actually have a landline phone anymore? Unless they're an older generation. And then all they get are random spam phone calls. You know, who really calls a landline anymore unless it's a business or bullshit?
Yeah, technology is always changing.
Mm-hmm.
And
speaking of technology,
coming back to, because I want to bring this full circle, because I had mentioned how the party did tie into it, because one of our friends, she had asked us, like, oh, are you still doing it? What is your topic going to be tomorrow? And I mentioned how we were going to talk about AI. Mm-hmm. And she is a teacher, and she mentioned ChatGPT. I mean, I know about ChatGPT because I saw the South Park episode, and it's actually a really good episode. Are you familiar with it, or did you hear her talking about this?
No, if you could refresh my memory.
Basically, it's ChatGPT is like an AI. Like, you give it information, and you can basically say, give me like this amount of words for this topic, and it will like generate something for you. Like, it could generate a speech. The South Park episode is really interesting because the tone of it, they actually used ChatGPT to write the rest of the script, like, for the end of the episode. And our friend, who's a teacher, she said that students have actually been using it to write reports. So it's like, all right, you need to write a 5-page report on Abraham Lincoln. Type it in, 5-page report on Abraham Lincoln, audience. I don't know if you could do it for an audience or not, but just like basically say, hey, I need this. Mm-hmm. And then it would generate a paper for them. South Park took it to the next level because they were even showing that teachers were using it to grade papers, But it's kind of crazy to think about that we're handing that over to AI basically. So it's like, hey, you don't have to write this anymore because you could have somebody write it for you. And people are even using it for like news articles, I think, like to write an article on a paper and stuff like that. And it's kind of crazy. Again, coming back to the Donald Trump and the AI thing, is that it's basically painting a picture. And this is the negative side of it. We can talk about the positive side of it too. We're basically painting a picture where art and entertainment expression, we're handing it over to AI rather than the manual tasks, or not the like the menial tasks. Instead of handing that over to an AI, we're handing over our art and music and expression to AI, so we can do the day-to-day tasks.
But by the same token, could you argue that these people that are playing around with AI and coming up with these things, they're just basically like playing with a new toy and exploring a new concept? That's all it really is.
Yeah, I mean, and it's gonna, with any technology, you're gonna get the positive and the negative too.
It's almost like they want to create art by creating art.
It's,
you know what I'm saying? They created the art piece. They created the art piece, and they want to tell this art piece, okay, art piece, create art for me.
And that's an interesting way to look at it another way. There's something strangely like equitable about it too, and here's what I mean. Like, let's say, a person has a really good idea for an art piece, but they're not able, like, they're not good at painting, drawing, sketching, stuff like that. And instead of handing that idea over to like another artist, like using AI to generate that image, and then they would be able to give it more like specifications. Hey, can you use more red in this piece, and then get it as close to what they want. Mm-hmm. So it's almost like there is sort of strange equity about it. It's like, hey, I have a really good idea, but I don't have the means to express that idea. Mm-hmm. And sometimes it's like, maybe it's just an idea in passing, and instead of spending like months and months and months to make this idea and then just have it be in a Facebook feed for 5 minutes, it's like maybe something shouldn't require that amount of work just to have it be like a flash in somebody's feed. Like, here's an example. And again, I don't know how much work this takes to put into it, but like, people will... Have you ever seen like those feeds where it's like a huge collection of photos based on one idea? And somebody did...
I think so.
Somebody did... It was a like cyberpunk Mad Max version of Wizard of Oz. Ooh. And it was fantastic. It's like you see like deserts, and you see like who's supposed to be the wizard, but it's just like weird and
I would love to look at that.
And like flying monkeys, where with the Mad Max-esque like clothing and like mohawks and stuff, and
it was AI that came up with.
Like somebody gave that idea to AI, like put it into the AI and said like, generate this imagery for me, and it did it, and it's like, you're looking at it, I was like, that looks incredible. I think somebody did that too with Lord of the Rings. It's like, give me Mad Max Lord of the Rings, and you've got Gandalf with like a cyborg eye patch over his eye. The orcs, they look like the guys in the Road Warriors with the assless chaps and the tire armor and stuff, and it's like, for something just like for like a quick like, hey, wouldn't this be cool, and you get to show the images. I mean, it's like, I think that's really interesting, and even just for like generating ideas, like, hey, that actually looks really cool, I'm going to take a variation of that and build that for this thing. Almost like like if people want to use it for like a secondary, like, I need help generating ideas, and then they'll like pull ideas out of what they get from that and modify it. Like, I mean, maybe that would be okay. I guess
I could get really, really dark on you for a second.
Okay.
If I might.
All right, let's do that.
Because that's what I do best, is think about apocalyptic things. Take all of like right now when it comes to AI and consider it a honeymoon phase, right? We're like in like the, say, in the past few decades, and it's only like enhanced from there. That, you know, we're just still in the early stages of learning robotics, learning AI, learning how to do all these things. It has they're trying to have a lot of benefits when it comes to, say, in medicine. You know, you could have a doctor on, say, you know, in, say, another state, basically like taking a like robot hands and doing a surgery that's in this other state. Shit, maybe they do it even from another country. I don't know. Have you heard of that before?
No.
Yes. Okay. So I don't know how, you know, I don't know how to expound upon that and how much of a thing that is, but let's face it, in medicine, that's the pursuit of trying to use AI. So you have that realm. Then you have the art realm. Then you have the other realm of like putting intelligence into it. It's all the beginning stages. So let's face it, if the shit hits the fan and they become self-aware and they decide they want to take over the planet, we'll be gone by then. So we don't have anything to worry about.
Fair enough.
So next generation people listening to this in the year 2023, mark our words, if your generation decides to fuck up, it's on you. It's not on us. We'll be gone. Anyways, moving on.
No matter what, one way or the other, depending on how you feel on it, one thing is for certain: there is no putting the jack back in the box, if you will, or the, you know how that saying goes. It's like, or
pop goes the weasel.
There's no putting the genie back in the lamp. That's what I mean.
Yeah.
So it's like, there's no like, hey, let's undo it or let's make it illegal. It's like, innovation breeds innovation. Mm-hmm. Like coming back to ChatGPT, if students are using ChatGPT to write papers, now there's a market for somebody to create an AI that can detect when ChatGPT is used, and then it's like, hey, you have that for the school. Student hands in the paper, that system like analyzes the paper and says like, oh, an AI wrote this paper, or oh no, this paper is good. Kind of like I want to say your school currently uses it. It's not the same thing, but mine did when I went for my master's. Uploading a paper. I think yours school has the same system where it will actually like detect from a database if you took somebody else's paper and like copied it.
Yep.
Like, and like
that.
I think that's great. And
it's this program I think called Turn It In.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah. And to think, I mean, if that's already been around for a while, mm-hmm. I mean, the AI to detect if an AI wrote a paper it's going to exist. It's going to be a thing. If it's not now, I'm sure it will be very soon. Mm-hmm. It's kind of the cool thing about technology. It's like, hey, we've got a new problem, but now you've got a new solution.
Way of solving the problem.
And it helps create a new market for skills and jobs. Like, this was an interesting thing when I took that Future Schools course, and they talked about it, and they said that one of the best things that you could do for a workforce, when technology basically puts that workforce out of work, is to put together a program to train that workforce how to oversee the digital workforce, if you will. So like let's say, you know, even like right now with the whole writer's strike, mm-hmm. And you've got writers in Hollywood, and imagine if Hollywood just suddenly decided, it's like, you know what, we're just going to have all of our writers be AI, and we're just going to use ChatGPT to write all of our content because we're just trying to get content out there. Like, in that sort of situation, the best thing that they could do is put together a program to teach those writers how to oversee the AI that is actually doing the writing. And it's horrible to think about it that way, that like, hey, somebody who's a writer and is being creative is now overseeing like an artificial creativity. Like, it's
that's kind of disturbing.
Yeah, but at the same time, that
would be turning I can't talk today. Turning humans into consultants.
Sort of, I guess. Or
yeah,
like,
I don't like that.
Yeah. Or like, let's say like in an assembly line, you have people working in an assembly line, and then AI robots and stuff takes over that job. Mm-hmm. That workforce should be trained to oversee that technology, and they can do maintenance on it.
But you do realize that once they're trained, they could just turn around and train themselves, right?
But the
Think about it. They're like, say for example, when I was a teenager, I worked at a McDonald's. I started at the bottom. Somebody trained me. Then eventually I took their job. I was the trainer. And then eventually there was a manager that came along and trained me to be a manager. In turn, I took their job and I became the manager. So if you take AI and the human, wants to train the AI how to do something, the AI is going to know how to do it. They can turn around and take your job, and they can turn around and train their own AI.
That might be a conversation for another day.
Really?
Yeah.
Why is that, babe?
And again, like coming back to like, if you're overseeing AI, somebody might develop a program that oversees the AI, but then now who oversees the AI that oversees the AI? You know?
We're going to fuck ourselves over. You do know that, right?
Well, let's...
And when I say we, I mean the collective, the royal we.
Well, let's hope that it doesn't happen until after we're gone.
As soon as I'm in the ground, this world can go to shit if it wants to. It's like there's just so many different things out there that just kind of irk me, and this is one of them. When it comes to AI, you just don't know what could be.
Anything new is always... I mean, I can definitely acknowledge that anything that does seem new is going to seem scary at first. And it's... Rather than dwelling on, like, the negative, like, it is good to try and find the positive, and with the negative, try and give a little bit of oversight as far as what the impacts are going to be.
I almost feel like there's a quote in a movie somewhere about this, but pertaining to something entirely different. Something along the lines of, and you might pick up on what I'm trying to say. Something along the lines of, just because you could make it doesn't mean that you should.
Is that Jurassic Park?
Thank you! All right! So, how appropriate. Just because, for the sake of the storyline, just because they could create or bring back the dinosaurs doesn't mean that they should. So just because we can create artificial intelligence to do stuff for us doesn't mean maybe that we should. It takes away humans' jobs. We already have problems with employment out there just in the U.S. alone. We already seem to have a huge problem with employment, keeping people employed as it is, and having enough money to go around. So how is this going to benefit humanity?
Here's one way to look at that. Is it possible? Like, take a look at Star Trek. Like, money doesn't exist anymore in Star Trek. Food is just generated for you. People aren't doing things for the sake of making money. They're doing the things for, like, the sake of their own pursuits, their own interests and stuff like that. Like, if you join Starfleet, you're joining Starfleet because you have an interest in outer space and connecting, with other planets and stuff like that. But
is all of this brought up in the Next Generation or in the original 60s Star Trek?
Definitely in the Next Generation. I don't know about the original, but so we're let's say AI ends up taking all of our jobs. And AI ends up managing our food, or let's say even did you hear about that whole that they're able to grow animal tissue that's not alive? So
I've heard of that before.
So imagine if that ends up becoming a real thing, and so now we've got AI managing our stuff for us, managing our food for us, our food supply. If we have a workforce that doesn't require any money, and again, not getting into slavery or anything like that, but like an entire workforce built on robotics and AI that does not require income, they're not required to be paid. Is there a possible outcome in that if basically there's a workforce doing all the work, people are no longer required to work? Is there a need for money anymore? Because basically...
that's a heavy subject. That's a heavy question.
Think of it this way. like we have an electric bill.
Mm-hmm.
We've got to pay that electric bill. And the reason why we are paying that electric bill is because the people that are giving us electricity, there are actual people out there that are overseeing our electricity and making sure that we're getting it, and those people need to get paid.
Yeah.
But if there's a completely digital workforce that doesn't eat, doesn't sleep, and doesn't need income that is overseeing our electricity, is that something that still needs to be paid for if there's no workforce to pay?
But how are, say, the current, like, rich people of the world going to maintain their rich lifestyle? How are people's current conditions or current financial conditions, if you will, how would all of these people be able to maintain or make better their current lifestyles if things get taken over like that?
That's a very good question, too.
Because you know that the people out there that are already like millionaires and billionaires, they're not going to want to relinquish any of that. They're not going to want to lower their lifestyle.
Well, of course, and honestly, you could argue that that's a reason why we've been so dependent on like fossil fuels for so long too. It's like, think of all the technology that we have, but we still have cars that run on gas, and it's like, why? And it's like, why? Because there's so much money in gas, and there are so many people that are rich because of gas. Mm-hmm. So I mean, there's definitely that aspect of it too, is social pushback on that. So I definitely agree with that. And coming back to that too, maybe it's not going to be a complete like cut and dry, like, oh, there's no need for money anymore. But like maybe there would at least be like
generations for it to like make it transition.
But at least there will be like maybe like a shift in that direction. So it's like maybe you don't need to work and make money for the basic essential things like a place to live, and food, electricity, water, and stuff like that, but maybe you need the money for the big things. Like, hey, I want to go on a trip to Greece, so I'm going to go in and put in some volunteer time, at this one place and help with that and get a little bit of income with that, and then I could use that. Or something else. Or here's another one for you. And this came up in future schools too, and it's actually in reference to a Black Mirror episode. I don't think we ever saw it, but like they referenced it in the training that I did. Social credits. So instead of having to go and work for that vacation time and stuff like that, but like everybody has an app where they can rate their social interactions with you. So it's like you go out, and you're greeting people. It's like, hi, how are you? And you actually have like a name tag that like people can scan with their phones and rate their interactions with you. It's like, oh, Kristina, oh, she's so nice and so wonderful. I love her. She gets 5 stars. Oh, Kristina, she's such a nice person. She's always so sweet, 5 stars. And you could use those social credits to go on vacation or to get like fancy.
Oh, I hate it. I hate it.
Yep. Could you imagine that?
The idea. Oh my God. Life would be one big giant Yelp.
Yep. But of course, on the other side,
hate it.
But of course, on the flip side of it, you meet somebody and they're a total dick, and you're like, "Guess what, buddy? That trip that you want to, you're not going anywhere."
Yeah, but you know what? People can be dicks, and you know what we would see? We would see people just turning around and being an asshole just because they want to, and they would see somebody that has all of these 5 stars, and they would be that one douchebag that would give them a 1 star just to lower their chances of.
And there's that too.
Because people have a streak.
Oh yeah.
No matter how nice you can take the nicest person, we're all imperfect humans, and people can have a streak about them that sometimes they want somebody else to be as miserable as they might be in that moment.
And there is that too, the whole social aspect of it too, and social pushback. I mean, even look at the world that we're living in right now. There's so much people trying to do things, and then there's so much social pushback on it. Yeah. It's like,
people are miserable. People like to shit on other people's good time.
Yeah.
No? Why do you think I'm just so much more happy to be at home and be around our pups?
Yeah.
Sorry, humans. Sorry, listeners, but I'm sure that to some degree or another, a lot of you can relate. No, some days are worse than others. No, there are some days where it's like you just absolutely love the people that you're around and everything. Yes, absolutely love our friends. Our friends, family, the ones that we know. I'm talking about generally like what you see when you go on social media, what you see when you go online, or what you hear in the news about strangers and the stupid ass fucking things that they say and do. People that I don't know. Like, why the fuck did you just like do that to your fellow man? What the fuck were you thinking? No. I'm peopled out at this point. God.
More on people and more on the social aspect of it.
People are morons or moron people?
But coming back to the party, because this was also brought up.
Yeah.
Same person,
Mm-hmm.
teacher. She was talking about that Instagram influencer or model, because she was really pretty, and I guess she sold her likeness to, and like they generated like an AI where like people could like digitally date her, like go out on a date and like have her tell them like, oh, you're so wonderful, I love you, and stuff like that.
That's so weird.
And that's kind of crazy to think about, like what that's gonna mean for us too, like as far as like social interactions. Like if we are so dependent on like an AI saying only positive things to us, like how are we going to deal with like criticism when that comes up? And even more than that, if they're able to put that AI into a physical human shaped person, what is that going to mean too?
Well, when it comes to people taking criticism, if we're currently teaching the newest generation that everybody is included and everybody wins, and everybody basically gets an award for being themselves, where is the competition? And are they going to lack in the accepting criticism department because of all of that?
And you could go and again, disclaimer, we are not.
I'm just simply asking a question. I'm being a little diplomatic here. It's like, I understand where our generation is trying to do things differently than say how our parents and our grandparents did when it comes to discipline and treatment of their children. I understand that. But where do you draw the line, and who's right, who's wrong? It's all of that.
And again, full disclaimer, we are not children's psychologists, and we know that it's not a black and white answer to that. But I do feel balance is important. Like, it is important to show your children that they are loved, but it's also important to challenge them too.
And I loved seeing all of the kids yesterday.
Yeah, that was good.
So it's so cute.
So it's like, coming back to what you said, that it's healthy for a child to experience failure. Mm-hmm. Like, you played the game and you lost.
Yes.
But on the flip side of that too, I also think that it's important for children to learn that their love.
Footsie with me?
I guess so.
Hi.
Footsie. I do think that it is important to not teach children that their love, their social acceptance, their friends is not dependent on their success though either. Like let's say somebody that only marries somebody because they're rich, and if they have financial issues, that person leaves them. It's like that's not the world that I want to live in. It's like if you're married and financial times are hard, it's like you stick it out and you work it together. Yeah. Or if you have a child and they fail at something, it's like, yes, you failed, but tomorrow's a new day, and I love you no matter what. You're my child and I love you. I do think that that's important too, because when it comes back to that, I mean, so you've got the flip side of it that, hey, all the children are getting together. It's like, hey, let's just have a good time, and you get an award no matter what. And there are people that complain about that, sure. But then you have the reverse side of it where, you have parents that go to games and they're like yelling and screaming at the other team, and, they get so invested in it that like fights break out and stuff like that. It's like, dude, it's a fucking kids game. It's like, just chill the fuck out.
Yeah,
it's like
so intense.
it's like what are you teaching them by acting that way? That's like this game and this one moment in time in their life while they're growing up and they're developing, into a person. You're teaching them that this is more important than anything else at this exact moment, and it's like, that's not what you should be teaching them. It's like, hey, you need to be the best football player, or you need to be the best baseball player. And it's like, how about you just teach them? It's like, that it's great that you're doing this, and if you win, that's great, and if you don't, then you don't. And that's, I think, the life lesson that should be taught there, is that you can't win everything.
I'm listening.
Oh.
I'm just commenting on somebody's post because the post is a little like, what?
Are you posting on Facebook while we're doing our podcast?
I saw I had a notification, and then when I opened it up, somebody had posted something that I was like, oh, get the hell out of here. So I'm just going to show this to you, just so that I, because I don't want to say what the context is or anything like that.
No kidding.
But judging by their location, that's pretty wild that they had that there.
No shit.
Yeah, and I just was asking, if everything on their property was all right.
Yeah.
So.
And ironically enough, that's the same home of the same person that we're actually talking about right now that brought up this thing. And for the record, if you're both listening to this, it was great to see you yesterday. We miss you. Please.
So great to see all you guys yesterday.
Yeah, and please bring your dog to our property, because we want your dog to meet our dogs too, and it would be fun.
Yeah, she's so sweet. Seriously, I just want to steal her. I just love her little face.
Yeah, she's awesome.
So cute.
Yeah.
Anyways.
But yeah. Crazy world, technology, but in the end, you know what? Nothing lasts forever. Make the best of the time that you can. And like, even seeing friends yesterday, it's like, you know what? Nobody's going to remember like how you felt about that new technology that came out. I was like, oh, I don't like that. But it's like, you are going to remember those times that you spend with people.
Well, that's more important anyways.
Absolutely.
And when it comes to technology changes all the time, but friendships and the people that you love, those interactions are much more important.
Yep. So instead of going on Twitter and voicing how angry you are at the state of the world, it's like, get out there and be with friends. And if you don't have friends, make friends. Meet
and if
people.
You don't want to make friends, get a dog. And if you don't want to get a dog, well, I don't know. Get a fish.
Yeah. Fish can be good.
Get a snake. Get a cat. Get something in your life. Something that adds substance to your life. No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. But that's on my end. That's all I got for AI. Do you have any more to add to that?
Not particularly. It's like there's a part of me that finds AI to be like actually a little bit annoying, intriguing, but annoying and a little bit disturbing, because it's like that, the whole fear of the unknown. How far can we push something before it morphs or evolves into something else? And people being people, because we just can't fucking help ourselves, how far are we going to play with AI before it presents itself as a huge problem to humanity? And like I said before, if that day comes, hopefully I'm not here to witness it. Then it'll be the fucking rise of the machines.
Yep. One thing I could definitely say, I may have even said this on another episode too, and if I'm repeating myself, I apologize, but maybe you haven't even heard this episode anyways. Mm-hmm. Talking to the audience.
Mm-hmm. We're just refreshing the memories.
Yeah. I seriously think like 10, 20 years from now, cyborg is going to be a derogatory term. Like, I mean, even now, like, there's a video I saw of this younger girl, and she I think she was either an accident happened or she was born without any forearms. So basically, like, her arms like stopped just past her elbow.
Okay.
Like, and somebody has spent millions of dollars on this project, for her, and here she is wearing these robotic arms that fit over, and she's completely able to like move her fingers, like it senses like her commands from her brain to like move her fingers, like turn her hands around, like bend her arms up and down, and she's able to completely use them like
that's gnarly.
And that's absolutely amazing. Mm-hmm. But of course, when technology comes out, eventually it gets better, but it also gets cheaper, which means that more and more people would be able to get stuff like that. And imagine socially what like the impact of that is. Like, oh, look at that fucking cyborg, and then it's like it ends up becoming like a derogatory term for a person that uses that stuff. And just like anything else, you know, whenever something is socially comes up that's socially different, everybody starts talking about sports, and you know exactly what I'm talking about when it comes to that too.
Oh God, what?
No, but I'm just saying, like, we live in a world where like trans people in sports is a very huge subject right now.
Oh, yeah.
Imagine what that's going to mean like when quote unquote cyborgs ends up being an issue, and then you've got people, you know, and I think it's already happened too, like with robotic legs competing in races. And I think it's actually already happened. Like somebody who had, you know, prosthetic legs, you know, ran, and like that's an amazing thing for a person, you know, with a disability to compete at that level. And like that is amazing. But also, what does that mean as far as, because again, that's what all comes down to with sports, is how do you define fairness? Like, is it fair to exclude somebody from a sport because of something, or is it fair for somebody to have an advantage to compete with everybody else? You know, like it
depends on what that advantage is.
Yeah.
I would think. I mean, in my world, in Kristina's world, I would say if you have all of your fingers and toes, and depending on what your appendage is, maybe that should be what team you're playing for, so to speak.
But I mean, coming back to that, it's like,
line.
what if your appendages
are surgically altered?
No, I'm talking about mechanically made, babe. Like mechanical arms, mechanical legs.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and those limbs don't get tired. You know, is what I'm talking about. So if you have mechanical legs and your legs don't get tired and you're competing in a race, you know, what does that mean for the sport? Or
well, maybe all of like the rest of the people then would be free to be able to use steroids and other stuff in order to increase their performances, a la Lance Armstrong.
True.
Oh,
yeah.
So you know, if that person can run all they want to, well, how about if we give all these other people a fighting chance and let them do all kinds of, drug enhancing stuff in order to give them a fighting chance? Bang, bang!
Well, that might be an interesting turn for the conversation. Steroids.
Yeah. Not like I know much about it. No,
I've definitely...
Not like I really give a shit either, you know? It's not my bag. It's not my bag, baby.
I've definitely watched some documentaries on it, and it's an interesting conversation to have, just because it's like socially we are so like, oh, if you do that you're cheating, but like it analyzes like other ways that people cheat in other fields. Like in that same documentary, I think it was, the name of the documentary was Better, Stronger, Faster. And the guy that directed it is the brother of Mark Bell, who's like, Mark Bell is like one of those top tier like bodybuilder powerlifters, and he's been open about his steroid use. He's like, come on, yes I do. But like in the documentary, he interviews people in an orchestra, and like all the top dogs in this orchestra, they admit to taking beta blockers. So it helps their like anxiety while they play, and since they're lowering their anxiety with drugs, it makes them a better performer. And he brings up that issue of like, well, if it's not permitted in sports to use enhancing drugs to make sure a person performs better, why is it okay like in other fields, like in music or this, like somebody is taking something that makes them do something better that they wouldn't do without it? And it's like, that's an interesting way to look at that. And yeah, but
I had a thought going back to AI, and before I lose that thought, I wanted to throw this out there too. We already have people fighting people, wars, you know, countries of, you know, we already have war. You know, humanity has known war for forever. And what if there ever came a time where AI became self-aware and then they just started warring with themselves?
Interesting.
Not even with humanity. What if you have robotics from one country and robotics from another country, and they start warring against each other, and they come up with their own warfare? Do you want to be a part of this world then?
No.
So maybe it wouldn't even be humans directly that would level the earth. It would be what they created that they decided to level the fucking earth instead for us. We create something that ruins the earth.
Ugh.
Moment of silence. Let that sink in. So anyways, back to Happy Town. What else shall we talk about? This coffee is really kicking my ass in a positive way this morning.
Very good. You know what? To bring a little bit of levity into this episode. Because I was thinking about this the other week, and it's like, oh, that'd make a good anecdote. You had mentioned Jurassic Park earlier, and the whole quote, Jeff Goldblum. I don't think we've ever told our Jeff Goldblum story on the podcast, and I think we should bring that up. All right.
Can I start with it?
Oh, yeah.
Are you talking about that time, that night?
The hotel.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
So was it your birthday?
I can't remember what it was. You got the hotel. Was it at Foxwoods or Mohegan?
I want to say Mohegan. I want to say it was Mohegan, but I could be wrong. I don't remember which hotel it was. Hang on, sorry, I got a burp. Excuse me. Anyways, whichever hotel it was, former coworker of mine helped get me a room to stay there for the night. Maybe we had a show that we were going to or whatever it was. But either way, got a room there at the casino for the night. And just as almost like a gag type of thing, because let's face it, we fucking love Jeff Goldblum. He's amazing. He's just everything that comes out of his mouth can either be funny or intelligent or a little bit of both. He's just, he's just like a cult figure. Anyways, so I bought all of these different Jeff Goldblum things. Everything from a Jeff Goldblum face mask to a shower curtain to a blanket, or at least like a coverlet over the bed, pillowcases, whatever I could get my hands on with Jeff Goldblum's face all over it. And so then my coworker, she takes all of the stuff that I got, and when she went and got the hotel room for me, she decorated the whole entire room. She put Jeff Goldblum shit all over that room. I think we even printed up little quotes that he had said and everything, and printed them out, and she put those little quotes all over the room. She went to town. So then we check in, we get into the room, and what was your reaction, babe?
It was hilarious. So walk in, Jeff Goldblum bedspread. And keep in mind, this was if you've ever seen Life Aquatic with Steve Zissou, that image of Jeff Goldblum, and he's the forest is behind him, and he's cuddling like a monkey or something like that. That was the shower curtain, and it was just it. And then there was the Jeff Goldblum mask, which we still have. Not to get sidetracked here, but where is even that stuff? Is that all stored away somewhere?
The mask, I believe, is when you open up my study closet door.
Yeah.
I have still masks my from Doctor Who.
All of our Halloween stuff.
Yeah, I believe he's hanging up in there.
Yeah.
With all of them.
But what about the pillowcases and the bedspread?
I have it all folded up inside of one of my various storage things. I don't worry, I never threw that shit away.
Because of
none of that shit's thrown away.
It hasn't really made an appearance since.
It will come. You know what? When we get our future bathroom, that shower curtain, if we end up with a little single shower stall upstairs or something, it'll go up there. And maybe even in the study, I'll put those bedspread pillowcases there.
Don't spoil it.
Well,
don't spoil the joke.
Get to it.
So I saw everything. I thought it was absolutely hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, hey, how about I take a photo of you, on the bed, for Instagram, or the gram, as the youngsters are calling it. And it's like, let's take a photo of it and just have a funny photo to share and be like, hey, what are you guys doing on a Friday night? Mm-hmm. And we took it, and me being me, and like, hey, we should tag Jeff Goldblum in this. And we did. And then it was like a couple of days later, somebody had commented and saying, hey, they talked about this at this interview with Jeff Goldblum in Texas. Here's the link for the video. And I'm like, get the fuck out of here. And we watched it. And here's this guy sitting on stage, talking about Jeff Goldblum's fans. He's like, in fact, somebody shared this with me from Instagram. And I guess it's this couple, and, they're definitely on the eastern side, and it was in a hotel. And she has this Jeff Goldblum bedspread with pillows and curtains, and she says something like, my dream came true. And everybody has a little laugh. We didn't say my dream came true, but I think he was just trying to ham it up for the audience. And he's like, and just so you know, I gave them your phone number. And Jeff Goldblum is up there, and he's just like, oh, that's very nice, that's very... And then he looks at him and just goes, I wish I had that bedspread pillow. And it's like... Then he goes off on a story about how he had his own pillow growing up, and there was a girl he had a crush on named Stephanie. It's like, now I would cuddle that pillow every night, and I would say, I love you, Stephanie. So you could tell those people that I definitely had my fair share of experience with pillows, or something like that. It was just, people laughing about that. But we'll always remember the whole, I wish I had that bedspread pillow. It was, absolutely hilarious. Like
our one interaction with Jeff Goldblum.
Yeah,
so funny. So close, but yet so far.
Yep.
I don't even know why we have such a thing for him, really. Like I said what I said before about how he's awesome, and he says this, and he's been in these awesome movies and everything. But is it the charisma? What is it about Jeff Goldblum that gets this world so stirred?
It's funny. And I think even social media and stuff like that too, I feel like social media definitely picks people, or not even picks them, but social media will test people to see how they react. Jeff Goldblum is definitely one of them, and Jeff Goldblum has completely embraced it. He's just like, hey, I'm a meme, and he's just totally embraced it.
I mean, let's face it, for the past 25 years, the majority of us, your generation and mine, we always use the term must go faster.
Yeah.
Gee, I wonder why.
But here's the example on the opposite side of it. Glenn Danzig.
Okay.
Hates technology, hates the whole social media thing, won't even allow you to take photos at a concert. And how did the internet respond? There's Danzig memes everywhere.
I'm sure he's not exactly heartbroken when he sees his bank account, though.
Of course, yeah. But I'm just saying,
it's these that's the one part about celebrities that really burns my butter, is that they get pissed off when it comes to paparazzi. But it's you know what? You fucking signed up for this when you asked for fame and fortune. Here's your fame. They're gonna be in your face. You will not get a second of fucking privacy, but here is your fortune in payment for that. Yeah. So you can't have it all. No.
But coming back to the whole social media aspect of it, I think how people respond to it ends up determining where it goes. So it's here you've got Danzig, who's, and again, I absolutely love Danzig, but he takes it very seriously, and so the internet has responded with photoshopping the microphone out of his hand and putting a hot dog there.
Oh, that's amazing.
And coming back to Jeff Goldblum, people do the same thing, but they realize that he loves it and they love him for it. Mm-hmm. Look at Keanu Reeves, You know
what we haven't watched in a while, speaking of Jeff Goldblum?
What's that?
We haven't watched the helicopter scene in a while, the rap song.
Oh, yeah. That's yeah.
Yeah, in case anybody is curious, YouTube that. I don't even know how to look for it on YouTube.
Just search for Jeff Goldblum remix.
Yeah, Jeff Goldblum remix, maybe like, Jurassic Park or something, because it's the whole scene in the helicopter.
Yeah.
It's like, you like digging, what is it? You like digging...
You like digging dinosaurs? Tracks. Yeah.
You're gonna get me all fired up over here.
It's ridiculous. But even look at like the ex singer of Immortal, Abbath. He embraced it too. Because again, he's got his sense of humor. You may say that it stems from his issues with alcohol and stuff, but it's like he's embraced it. So now you've got Photoshop pictures of him on a surfboard or in a bath, splish splash. I was taking a bath, and
I just love it when he talks about that himself. He looks like he's half in the bag, and he's like, he says something with his thick Polish,
Norwegian.
Sorry, his thick Norwegian accent, and he says something about taking a bath.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
It's just...
That's right. He was hanging out with the singer of High on Fire, and they were just partying it up, and
He's one that I would love to just like rub elbows with and be like, I just get such a kick out of you.
Yeah.
I don't even know your music that well, but your personality is kind of funny.
I mean, I do love it on that level that it's like he's embracing the Gene Simmons, Ozzy Osbourne aspect of metal, and it's like, because let's face it, like Ozzy fans, they love Ozzy, and part of the reason why they love Ozzy is because of his personality. Like, I mean, he's definitely written some good songs, but people love the jumping up and down on stage. People throw a bucket of water on him. Him upstairs clapping his hands. Thank you very much. We love you all. And people.
Sorry, your imitations are spot on.
All right. Now we're gonna do Paranoid! Like, and people love that. And like, Abbath, I feel like he's embraced that too, where it's just like, what, it's metal and it's meant to be rock and roll and over the top and fun, and he brings that in, and I think people have responded to that, where it's like...
I'm kind of surprised to that, of like all of the bands that you and I have seen together over the years, that we never went to, that we've never seen. Was it, you said Immortal?
Immortal, yeah.
Yeah, we never together saw them.
I don't think that they have, and again, I could be wrong, but I don't think that they have, back when they had gotten back together, like that trio, like I don't think that they came around this area in the States, and of course now Abbath is no longer in Immortal, and I don't even know if the new Immortal... I mean, I don't even want to use the term the new Immortal, because everybody that's in Immortal has been in Immortal. Or how should we say, like, Demonaz's, that I think that's how you pronounce his name, Demonaz, that's the other guy who's now singing his version of Immortal. Like, I don't think they even play shows. I mean, I'd have to look into that. Oh, and speaking of that...
Can you wipe that dog hair off the table?
Sure.
My eyeball keeps on looking at it, and I'm just like...
Speaking of Immortal, though, they just dropped... Demonaz's Immortal just dropped a new album, too. Like,
no kidding.
From what I've heard of it, it's definitely Immortal, and honestly, like, in a lot of ways, I almost feel like his voice might actually even be better. Like,
yeah, but does he have the charisma of Abbath?
Well, so here's... the complicated. This is me, a recovering edgelord. In my 20s, I feel like I fell into that crowd. I try not to be like that anymore, because you can listen to whatever you want, and when you're making music, you can do whatever you like. Immortal has very strong ties in black metal. Whether or not you think that they still are a black metal band or anything like that. I mean, they're very important to its upbringing, and a lot of people will tell you that there's no room for humor in black metal, and in a lot of ways with that I do agree.
Okay, fair enough.
So
yeah,
like the new with Demonaz, like helming Immortal, like, and without Abbath bringing his personality into the group, the smiling and the tongue sticking out, and like the moves that he'll do on stage, there is a seriousness that has come back into the group, because like this new record and the one that they did before it with Demoness singing, they're good fucking record.
That's good and everything,
yeah.
but if he, when he was with the band, is what made potentially that band stand out amongst others, isn't it potential now that without him that they're just basically just another Norwegian black metal band?
No,
just like the rest.
Because again,
it's like, what can make a band stand out?
Like I would say was their partnership, like between the two of them. Because again, even when Demoness wasn't able to play guitar anymore.
Sorry, look at him. He's so
Oh,
cute.
they're sleeping. Oh.
So both of the
kiddos are napping.
And both of the pups are napping right now in the dining room with us. And the way Sammy is just sacked out on his bed, he just looks like a precious little baby. Oh, I wish I could take a picture and just like, I could take a picture. I'm going to take a picture right now and maybe even post it on the page afterwards. He's just so cute. He's just a cute little baby.
No.
He's just so soft and silky and sweet. And how is Winifred doing over there? Oh,
she's napping too.
Napping like a baby. Okay, anyways, going back to Abbath and Immortal. Sorry about that.
I would say it was more of a partnership because, like, what it was is like, originally I think Abbath was playing bass and singing, and Demoness was playing guitar, and then like he had some sort of like tendonitis thing that had happened with his hands, and he wasn't able to play guitar anymore. So then Abbath ended up taking on the guitar role, but Demoness continued to write lyrics for the band. So he was still technically an unofficial member, but then after Abbath, like they split again and Abbath went solo, Demoness came back into the band as a guitar player and assumed vocals too. And so it's like he's always been like a prominent figure in the band as far as the writing aspect of it, and he was the original guitar player, I believe, for the band. And now that he's back in it, and it's great, you know, how it sounds. So I guess how you might want to look at it is like, hey, now there's like two Immortals, if you will.
Fair.
But yeah. But anyways, yeah, new Immortal album, go give it a listen. There's cool tunes on it, definitely. But anywho,
I'll keep that in mind.
yeah, yeah. So, you know what? I really didn't think of anything else.
I knew it. I fucking knew it. You were gonna be just thinking about AI and everything, and not any other topics. I knew it.
Well, you know what we are. We always.
You got fixated, didn't you?
Well, I guess so. I guess so.
No, that's okay. And I mean, like, not every single episode has to be like, you know, a million years long or anything. We do have a little over an hour on this one.
Yeah.
And if we're not necessarily thinking of anything else, we can kind of like call it a day if we wanted to on the podcast.
We definitely could, and like even, you know, like we took 2 weeks off too, and it's just like we gotta do what we gotta do, and obviously we have things that we want to do today too.
Are we going to do what we wanted to do today?
Yeah, in fact, mentioning it because I know we've talked in a previous episode as far as the stairs leading down to the river where we live, and it's definitely coming along. And I've had my things to do, but you have been helming those steps, and they are looking really, really good, and I will help you with those today too. Yes, you're very welcome.
Now we just need to see about filling in the steps and adding more steps.
Yes.
It is coming together, and I'm just like, I'm itching to get back to it, and I'm itching to get it done because I really want to set up. I would love to like have it cleared down at the bottom and set up the fire pit and the chairs down there at least.
In fact,
that would be cool.
Did you notice that some grass is growing in that spot that I filled in? Where the tree stump used to be.
I see it. Yep. I can see it from here. I can see the green that's poking through. Yay! We're trying so hard on making our little postage stamp of a property look nice and green around here, and it's coming together slowly.
I was standing outside, you know, with the kiddos, you know, looking for poops in my underwear, and I see the spot, and I'm just like, yeah, there's grass.
Yay!
See, that's a sign that we're getting older, is the fact that I'm getting excited for grass and yard work, and all that.
I don't think it's necessarily about getting older. I think it's just like getting excited about aspects of home ownership. We could be 25 and be excited about grass growing.
Yeah, true,
in.
true.
You know, it just depends on how much value you place on the property that you own.
Yeah, true.
Doesn't have to be the age.
Definitely.
No. There's a bird out there that's on the fence that's just it's chirping a little bit, and I'm trying to figure out. It's not an oriole. Looks familiar though. It has like an orange chest to it, and there's something about that coloring that looks familiar, but the way that it's just perched on the fence is cute. But anyways, nature. Ah.
Yeah. But there you go. I mean,
Yeah.
I guess, unless you could think of anything else that you wanted to share
I
today.
think, honestly, I think that the hour that we put in on this podcast today was a nice, healthy hour of good conversation, good flow, and stuff that was, good mental exercise stuff. Was talking about AI and all of that. And again, we're going to have some days don't move. I just want to see what this is. Oh, it's just a crumb on your shirt. Just making sure.
Thanks.
I'm very, ever since, I found a tick on myself the other night, now I'm just, I'm seeing, little spots here and there, and it's like, is it a tick? It's not a tick.
It's just a
No,
crumb.
everything is a tick. And even, there's that piece of dust that's right there, that's just floating around. It's just dust. It's not a tick. But anyways, yeah, I think that we put in a good quality hour, and our listeners have had enough of our bullshit for 1 week until next week.
All right.
And we'll figure out what we're going to talk about then.
Yeah.
Something interesting. So I say, let's end it, and let's
All right.
continue on with our day so that, get some stuff accomplished. And I really feel like gaming in a bit. Not yet, but soon.
Yeah, that sounds good too. I could definitely go Viking and do all that stuff too.
My dragons are calling me.
Nice.
Yay.
All right, well, there you have it, ladies and gents. Have a great holiday weekend.
Yeah.
I'm waving my hand right now, but you can't see that.
He just waved at the computer. Oh, Peter, go have some more coffee.
Yeah, I should have more coffee. All right, there you go, everybody.
Have a good Memorial Day weekend, and barbecue up, and observe the holiday weekend and how you so choose. And hope everybody is well rested and well fed, and wish you the best.
There we go. All right, bye-bye. All right. Bye-bye.